Buying a home is a big deal, and I am not here to sugarcoat anything. In this video, I'm gonna give you the real deal advice that a lot of other people would skip over. This isn't just about the basics. This is the insider info that could save you thousands and months of stress. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've bought a few homes before, these are the mistakes that you cannot afford to make. And I'm gonna break it all down with some real-life examples and simple math. So stick around because you do not wanna miss this. Mistake number one is not establishing a clear timeline. Timing is everything when you buy a home, and I'm gonna share with you my personal real life example. As we all know, it is the start of a brand new year. I have set a huge goal for myself this year to buy my first house. I actually had this goal for myself last year as well. I just didn't put the timeline in place to be able to achieve the goal. So how do I make that happen? Let's break it down. First, I know that I need to start saving for closing costs and other expenses. I've opened a dedicated savings account and have a goal set to save at least $10,000 by mid-2025. That means I need to start saving around $500 a month starting now. Next, let's talk about pre-approval. To close on a home by December 2025, I'll need to be pre-approved by September of 2025 at the latest. But here's the thing. Pre-approval is not an instant process. It takes time to gather all the documents and talk to the right lender and figure out which lender is gonna be best for you. So I'm actually gonna plan to start that process in August of 2025. Now, what about house hunting? I'll begin to start looking at homes in late summer of 2025, probably around July, because it can take weeks to even months to finding the home that you end up wanting to put an offer in on. And let's not forget, once you actually make the offer, it can take anywhere from 30 to 45 days to actually close on that property. That means that I'm gonna aim to have an offer accepted by the beginning of November of 2025. This timeline might sound tight when you think about it big picture, but planning ahead is hopefully gonna help to keep it manageable and stress-free. And remember, your timeline might look a little bit different depending on your own circumstances. But the key is always to plan backwards and set your goals from there. You wanna make sure to set clear deadlines for saving, pre-approval, and house hunting. That way you can stay on track. Mistake number two is using your gross income to budget. This is a trap that I see so many homeowners fall into because it's so easy to confuse what you make with what you can actually afford. What a lot of people don't tell you is that when you get pre-approved with a lender, they'll often give you the maximum amount that you can qualify for. But here's the catch. That doesn't mean that you should spend that much. Let me explain why. We're gonna go with a pretty high number here and say that you make $75,000 a year. I'm gonna get my phone out so that I can do some math. So if you are making $75,000 a year and you divide that by 12, that means that you're gonna be making $6,250 every month before taxes. A lender very well could pre-approve you for a mortgage with payments of up to $2,500 a month. That sounds pretty doable, right? But after taxes, insurance, retirement contributions, and other deductions, your take-home pay may only be $4,500 a month. So now, if you take that $4,500 a month minus that $2,500 for your mortgage payment, that is gonna only leave you with $2,000 a month for your groceries, your gas bills, car payments, and savings. That, in my opinion, is cutting it pretty close. Instead, what you should do is aim for a mortgage payment that is no more than 25 to 35% of whatever your take-home pay is. So using our example, 30% of $4,500 equals $1,350 a month. That is gonna be a much safer number and leaves you with plenty of room for other expenses and any unexpected costs. Now we need to talk about the lifestyle factor. When you buy at the top of your budget, this could very well mean that you're gonna be sacrificing other things that you enjoy. This could be things like traveling, dining out, or just saving for your future goals. You have to always remember that your lender does not know your personal priorities. They're looking at your financial data, not your life. It's up to you to make sure that you set a very realistic budget. So here's the bottom line. Just because you're approved for a certain amount does not mean that you should actually spend that amount. Make sure to stick to a budget that aligns with your lifestyle and your long-term goals. You will thank yourself later. Mistake number three is picking the wrong house. As crazy as it might sound, I've actually seen this happen. This step is way more than just about finding a home that sticks to your budget. It's about making sure that the house actually fits your needs and doesn't come with hidden finds that could cost you a lot later. If you are not experienced with homes, finding a realtor that is very educated about them is going to be crucial. When you walk through a house, what is it that you're going to be looking at? Well, you're going to be looking at the layout, the furniture that's there, the family photos, the colors on the walls, and of course, imagining yourself living there. But a good realtor should actually be looking a lot deeper. Things like checking for cracks in the foundation, signs of water damage, sloping ceilings or floors, or even potential mold. Now, we are not home inspectors, so we can't say for certain what these issues might be, but we can save you a lot of time and a lot of money by spotting these red flags early so that you don't have to go through with the inspection process. Next, let's talk about the location of the home. Location isn't always just about being close to work or being close to school. It's about feeling safe and having access to the things that you need. If you're moving to a new area, I always recommend researching the crime rates of that zip code for that area. Go check out the nearby grocery stores, check out the parks, and of course, you want to check the schools if you have kids. A great house in a bad location can be a very costly mistake. Here's another tip that I always share with my clients. Take a walk around the neighborhood if you really are liking the house. Walking is always going to give you a much better feel for the neighborhood than driving will. You'll start to notice things like traffic noise, how well neighbors are taking care of their homes, and even potential safety concerns. Lastly, you always want to consider your long-term needs. Are you planning to stay in this house for years? If so, you want to think about how it's going to fit your lifestyle as you evolve. Are there enough bedrooms for a growing family? Is the yard big enough if you want some outdoor space? Taking these factors into account is going to help make sure that you pick the right house, and not just for now, but for years to come. Mistake number 4 is either skipping or just not fully understanding the inspection process. While most people are not going to skip the inspection process entirely, there's still a lot of confusion about what's involved and why it's so important. First, we do need to talk about the cost. A general whole house inspection is going to cost you anywhere from $350 to about $500. This is all going to depend on the inspector and the area that you're in. This fee is non-refundable even if you decide to not purchase the home because of the inspection. But I promise you that it is worth every single penny to avoid any sort of pitfalls in the future. Now, if we're talking about a brand new construction home, a whole house inspection is usually totally sufficient, as everything should be up to code and in good condition. However, if you are buying an older home, there are going to be some extra inspection items that I highly recommend doing. The first is something called a sewer scope. This involves sending a small camera down a sewer line to check for blockages or damage, which could cost you thousands in repair if it's not caught early. Next, especially if you're in the Midwest, is something we like to call a termite inspection. Termites can actually cause significant structural damage, and it's way better to know up front if there's an issue. Finally, if the inspector notes that the roof looks old or damaged, I always tell my clients that it's a really good idea to get a second opinion from a roofing contractor to see if the roof may need to be replaced. As we all know, roof replacements can be extremely expensive, so this is definitely information that you're going to want to know before moving forward on that home. I always encourage my clients to prioritize homes with newer roofs, as this can save you a lot of money and headaches down the road. I know an inspection feels like an annoying extra cost, but it's a very small price to pay for peace of mind and potentially saving you thousands of dollars in repair. Always invest in a thorough inspection process. It is one of the smartest moves you can make as a home buyer. Mistake number 5 is making a big financial decision during the home buying process, because this can completely derail everything. Let me just give you a real life example that I just recently experienced to show you why. I recently had a client who wanted to move out of their house and move up into a nicer home. Before deciding to make the move, the wife ended up quitting her full-time salary job and moving to a commission-based job. Here's the thing. Her commission-based job was actually paying her more money than her full-time salary job was, but it became nearly impossible to get them pre-approved because on the lending side, it's very hard for them to count commission for the first couple of years that they're in it. So this made the entire process so much harder for us, and we honestly didn't think that it was gonna end up working out. This is why it's so important to not make huge financial changes if you're planning to buy a home in the next year or two. Lenders need consistent and verifiable income, to approve your loan. I know some of you might be hating me right now because you really want to quit your job or you really wanted to buy that new car, but I promise the real estate is going to be way more worth it to you in the end. So yes, even buying a new car or opening a new line of credit can change your debt to income ratio, which is a critical factor that lenders use to determine your eligibility. Keep your financial situation as stable as possible until closing day. Mistake number 6 is overlooking the total cost of ownership. Many buyers want to only focus on the monthly mortgage payment, but owning a home actually comes with several additional costs that can definitely add up. Let's dive into the details so that you know exactly what to expect. First, let's talk about closing costs. These are the fees and expenses that you'll need to pay upfront at closing. On average, closing costs are going to range anywhere from 2 to 5% depending on the purchase price of your home. So let's use a $300,000 home as an example. You could be paying anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000 of closing costs that would be paid upfront at the closing table. These include things like loan origination fees, appraisal fees, title insurance, and escrow fees. But here's something else that was just recently released in today's market. You may also be responsible in covering your realtor's 3% commission if the seller does not agree to pay it. So that could potentially be a $9,000 difference in closing costs on a $300,000 home. Combined with those other closing costs, that can easily push you into that $20,000 range. Next, we cannot forget about the ongoing monthly costs. In addition to your monthly mortgage payment, you'll also need to budget for things like property tax. These are going to vary by location, but it's typically anywhere from 1 to 2% of your home's value annually. So on a $300,000 home, that's going to be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 per year, or $250 to $500 a month. Second thing is homeowner's insurance. You can expect to pay anywhere from $100 to $200 a month to protect your investment. The third thing is utilities. These can range anywhere from $200 to $500 per month, depending on the size of the home and of course your usage. And then we do have to think about the HOA fees, which if you are a first-time home buyer, I doubt you're gonna have an HOA fee, but these fees can range anywhere from $50 to $500 a month. And then lastly, you always want to budget for maintenance repairs. A good rule of thumb is to budget 1% of your home's value annually for maintenance. That's $3,000 per year or $250 per month on a $300,000 home. So as you can see, it's very easy to see how quickly those costs can add up. That's why it's so important to look beyond the mortgage and make sure that you are financially prepared for everything that comes with homeownership. By budgeting for these expenses ahead of time, you can avoid any unwelcome surprises. Mistake number 7 is not thinking about your long-term goals. One of the most exciting aspects of homeownership is building equity. A home is not just where you live, but it's also one of the best investments you will ever make. If you don't know what equity is, it's the difference between what your home is worth and how much you owe on your home. So let's say you buy a $250,000 home, and after just 5 years, it's worth $300,000. That right there, my friend, is $50,000 in equity in 5 years. Over time, as you pay down your mortgage and the property appreciates in value, your equity is going to grow. Now, think about how this ties into your financial goals. As I said at the beginning of this video, one of my personal goals this year is to finally purchase my first home. Ideally, I want to just live in it for a couple of years, make a few tweaks to it while I'm living there, and then move out, move into another home, and turn that first home into a rental property. By doing this, I'm not just building equity, I'm also going to start creating a source of passive income to be able to continue to buy properties over time. If you are considering the same strategy, make sure to let your realtor know and make sure to choose a home in a location that appeals to renters. So you want to look for things like good school districts, proximity to jobs, and a place with lower crime rates. These factors will make your property more easy to rent out and more attractive to potential renters. And here's another huge advantage. Owning a home protects you against inflation. While rent prices continue to rise, your mortgage payments are actually going to stay consistent if you have a fixed rate loan. This stability is priceless, especially during times of economic uncertainty like we've experienced over the past few years. Homeownership is not just about having a place to live, it's about creating that long-term stability, building wealth, and opening doors to future opportunities. Avoiding these mistakes can save you time, money, and a whole lot of stress. Remember, I'm not just here to give you advice, I'm here to make sure that you succeed in your home buying journey. If you found this video helpful, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can receive more tips that are actually gonna make a difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.